The Geet Ruler Episode Number 110 Explanation. By the side of the waterfall. Mu Chen sat on top of a green rock, with Luo Li present near the waterfall not far away. At this moment, she had quietly closed her eyes, clearly gradually entering a training state. Shooting a look at Luo Li's beautiful figure, Mu Chen started to steady his mind. As of now, with time being that precious, he needed to grasp all the time he could to further increase his strength. If not, as the most intense period of time for the Great Spiritual Academy tournament arrives, wanting to rise to the top would not a simple task to accomplish. After all, there were many crouching tigers and hidden dragons present within this Great Spiritual Academy tournament. As a shadow of deep pondering appeared within Mu Chen's eyes, he clenched his hand, only for some spiritual light to sparkle. In the next instant, the 6 divine wood plaques appeared before him. As a green light shone from them, verdant life force started to perfuse from them. With a casual grab towards divine wood plaques, Mu Chen closed his eyes while extending his senses to them, before flinging his mouth aside in disappointment. That's because he felt that those divine wood plaques were empty within, with the learning method of those lesser divine arts included. Clearly, the lesser divine arts imprinted within those divine wood plaques could only be sensed by a single person. Once they were learnt, the imprints within would disappear. That's why it wasn't difficult for Mu Chen to obtain the divine wood plaques from the hands of Wu Yingying and the 4 Sea Spiritual Academies. It turned out that the majority of the value present in them had already been used up. Nevertheless, despite that little bit of disappointment, it was still considered to be within Mu Chen's expectations. After all, he had collected these 6 divine wood plaques not for the sake of obtaining those lesser divine arts imprinted within them. An ancient tree symbol slowly surfaced on Mu Chen's forehead. A weak green light radiated from it, slowly spreading out, before finally enveloping the divine wood plaques before Mu Chen. Hum. Hum. At this moment, the 6 divine wood plaques started to faintly vibrate, while the green light radiating from them grew in density. After an instant, upon reaching their maximum brightness, Mu Chen discovered that the 6 divine wood plaques were actually starting to slowly merge together. Drop after drop of green liquid appeared, before floating in the air. Within a short span of half a minute, the 6 divine wood plaques had completely merged together, transforming into a large clump of churning green liquid. The surface of the liquid appeared to form multiple layers, just like the bark of an ancient tree. At this moment, the tree symbol on Mu Chen's forehead grew increasingly radiant. In the next instant, a green beam of light suddenly shot out, shooting straight towards the clump of greenish liquid before him. Buzz! Zapping sounds rang from within the liquid, before Mu Chen noticed that the centermost location within the clump of liquid had actually turned solid. Faintly, it had started to transform into what appeared to be a green-colored tree bark that was approximately the size of a palm. Exceedingly ancient fluctuations started to radiate from the tree bark, appearing to be brimming with life. Following the appearance of the ancient tree bark, the tree symbol on Mu Chen's forehead started to slowly disappear, before completely dissipating away. As Mu Chen extended his finger out, the greenish liquid split apart, while the green-colored tree bark dropped, finally landing within his palm. Mu Chen curiously sized up the ancient green-colored tree bark in his hand. He was able to see dense ancient words sparkling on its surface, with every single word appearing exceedingly abstruse and mysterious. "Is this the thing that's hidden within the divine wood plaques?" muttered Mu Chen. In the next instant, a scorching hot shadow surfaced within his eyes. With a furious clench of his hand, the green-colored tree bark was tightly gripped within his palm. Bang! As a green light started to perfuse from his palm, it appeared to penetrate through his hand, before traveling at an astonishing speed towards Mu Chen's mind. At the same time, a low rumble was heard, appearing like an explosion going off within his mind. Majestic and cryptic ancient information gushed out like a flood. Green light continuously sparkled within Mu Chen's eyes, before finally slowly subsiding quite a while later. At that moment, an amazed and happy look surfaced on his face. "Divine wood scripture," muttered Mu Chen. Present within the ancient information that had gushed into Mu Chen's mind were 2 portions of a divine art. One of them was known as the divine wood scripture. Furthermore, what caused Mu Chen to feel shocked was that this portion of the divine wood scripture had actually reached the realm of greater divine art. The divine arts were categorized into 3 levels: being lesser divine art, greater divine art and perfected divine art. Although there was just a word difference between the lesser divine art to the greater divine art, Mu Chen understood the disparity between the two, which was a genuine chasm. If a lesser divine art moved the hearts of sovereign realm experts, a greater divine art would truly be able to pull the greed out from within them. This divine wood scripture was a truly genuine greater divine art. It said that this greater divine art was the fundamental technique that led to the establishment of the Divine Wood Palace. Even within the Divine Wood Palace, only elder-level figures would have the qualifications to learn and cultivate a divine art of such a realm. This divine wood scripture was exceedingly abstruse. Once one was able to successfully learn it, one would be able to absorb the energies with trees in a radius of 10,000 meters, with the determination of its strength being one's level of attainment towards the divine scripture. Naturally, there was also another important element, which was the terrain, or the surrounding environment. If the user was in combat while in a forest, the might of the divine wood scripture would shock and astonish people. Furthermore, the greater the number of extraordinary trees in one's surroundings, the more terrifying the might of the divine wood scripture would be. However, if one was in a desert or the sea, it wouldn't even possess the might of a lesser divine art. From the information that had gushed into his mind earlier, Mu Chen was able to know that the Divine Wood Palace had an elder that had trained in the Divine Wood Scripture in the ancient antiquity. This elder's cultivation had reached the realm of 5-stage sovereign realm. While on an external mission, he had bumped into an opponent whose realm had reached that of a 7-stage sovereign realm, with their place of battle being on top of a primary forest. It just so happened that there was a small patch of Chinese parasol trees present there. This was a kind of spiritual tree which possessed rather pure spiritual energies within it. Therefore, the ending was completely predictable. This 5th-grade sovereign elder immediately activated the Divine Wood Scripture, causing serious injuries to the 7th-stage sovereign realm opponent in a single attack to the point of him almost dying from it. One could see from this how important a good environment for battle was for this Divine Wood Scripture. So formidable. Mu Chen could not help exclaiming in admiration, before a helpless smile appeared on his face. Indeed, this Divine Wood Scripture was extremely formidable, but the requirements it had towards the combat environment was slightly harsh. After all, one would not always be able to bump into opponents in an environment that just so happened to have a vast forest. Without it, the might of the Divine Wood Scripture would be greatly diminished. As for having spiritual trees in the surroundings, that was even more harsh. This made Mu Chen feel slight regret. If not for the limitation it had towards the environment, this Divine Wood Scripture might very well be one of the most outstanding of all great divine arts. With some regret, Mu Chen continued to look towards the second part of the Divine Wood Scripture, which caused him to gawk. The second part of the Divine Wood Scripture wasn't strong at all. On the contrary, it was extremely weak. That's because its name was called Tree Planting Art. As its name implied, it was a divine art, and was used to plant trees. It didn't possess a single bit of offensive capabilities, with its only function being to plant tree seedlings, before letting them grow and mature at an astonishing speed. A blank expression appeared on Mu Chen's face. Clearly, he didn't quite understand why there would be such a weird divine art that specializes in planting trees. Did it want people of cultivation to become farmers? That's not right. Mu Chen regained his calm. Being able to be placed together with an important greater divine art like the divine wood art, this tree planting art is absolutely not some useless divine art. Tree planting art, tree planting? Mu Chen muttered, before his face slightly changed, while a somewhat outlandish shadow gushed from within his eyes. Could this tree planting art be specifically used in concert with the Divine Wood Scripture? The might of the Divine Wood Scripture was decided by the environment it was used in, while the tree planting art just so happened to be able to cause a vast forest to grow at an astonishing rate. If one was to unleash this tree planting art, before a fight, to grow trees, wouldn't one be able to possess the most perfect of environments? Mu Chen's eyes abruptly lit up as he could not help clapping in excitement. This truly was perfect. The idea of this senior from the Divine Wood Palace truly was unique, to actually be able to think of such a way to cover up the weakness of the Divine Wood Scripture. With the tree planting art, one would be able to stabilize the might of the Divine Wood Scripture. Furthermore, what's more important was that once it was able to gather the seedlings of a few spiritual trees and plant it down, wouldn't that make it even more terrifying? Being exceedingly intelligent, Mu Chen was able to come up with quite a few detailed plans. With a few items, it would undoubtedly cause the divine wood scripture to be much more powerful. However, upon thinking that he would have to plant trees before fighting with people, the smile on Mu Chen's face started to turn slightly stiff. Wouldn't that be too weird? Mu Chen gave a bitter laugh in response, shaking his head before temporarily suppressing such thoughts. Although this action seemed slightly weird, as long as one was powerful enough, such details would be ignored. From the looks of it, I would have to comprehend this divine wood scripture for a bit during my isolation training. Mu Chen muttered. Learning a divine art of such a grade wouldn't be easy. However, the information that had gushed into his mind had contained the experiences of numerous seniors of the Divine Wood Palace, allowing for the level of difficulty to drop by quite a bit. As for this tree planting art, it was in fact not even considered as a divine art. At the very most, it could only be considered as a middle-grade divine art. To Mu Chen, learning it simply wasn't difficult at all. Taking a deep breath, Mu Chen suppressed the surging emotions within his heart, before slowly closing his eyes. Clapping his hands together, he gradually entered into a training state. In the next period of time, not only did he want to break through his spiritual energy disaster, he even wanted to seize the moment and successfully comprehend this divine wood scripture. Time continued to elapse in an unhurried fashion, with the general situation of the Great Spiritual Academy tournament ramping up and growing increasingly fervent. At this moment, the Great Spiritual Academy tournament was ramping up to its final phase. Clearly, this was the phase where the fights and battles were at their most intense, with all of the elite groups that were biding and waiting for their time finally coming to the surface, completely exposing their dazzling brilliance to all. That's because there was already no need for them to patiently hide during the day. What they wanted was to use all of their methods and ways available to them to obtain as many points as possible, before rushing towards the top 8. Only by entering the top 8 would they obtain the qualifications to enter the final match. This would clearly become a rather cruel match of elimination. The groups that were able to distinguish themselves and rise to the top would absolutely be outstanding, with them numbering in the hundreds, or even thousands. Wanting to fight and struggle for the top 8 in such a situation with so many experts would definitely be a rather difficult task. Yet, the matter was indeed headed this way. Not long after Mu Chen and the rest had exited from their isolation training, the atmosphere within the entire Great Spiritual Academy tournament had turned into a powder keg that had been blown completely up by sparks and pressure coming from all directions. Everyone present could feel the rampant atmosphere perfusing within the air of the center of the shattered continent, with ordinary groups not even daring to go near the center region. As for those that dared, all of them possessed a rather high level of confidence towards themselves. This region had already become the central point of the Great Spiritual Academy tournament. As all those groups brimming with self-confidence gathered towards the central region of the shattered continent, massive battles naturally started to erupt without incident. After a short span of a few days, the intense flames of battle had seemingly spread through every single inch of this vast region. Fights and battles had seemingly sprung up at any given moment within this vast region, with each and every powerful group displaying various kinds of methods and techniques in their fights, causing boundless rampant spiritual energies to ripple throughout the heavens and earth. Following the eruption of various intense battles and fights, those elite groups that were hidden in the dark and biding their time had started to quietly reveal their vicious fangs. Within the short span of a days, everyone was able to acutely sense the few unfamiliar and powerful groups that suddenly appeared, before defeating a few previously prominent groups. Finally, with a winner-takes-all stance, they would snatch away all of their hard-earned points. A few of the previously prominent and strong groups were rapidly squashed. Despite all their efforts in resisting, what they received in the end was a painful sense of the disparity between them. Only at that moment did they start to feel regret. However, while they were continuously pursuing and snatching the points of those weak groups, these people were strolling around the various dangerous realms within the shattered continent, painstakingly searching and finding the chances of breakthroughs in the form of remnants. Under this tempering, their strength had increased time after time again, resulting in them gradually pulling the disparity apart from those previously prominent and strong groups that were of similar levels of strength at the very beginning. Therefore, within a short span of no more than 2 to 3 days, everyone had started to sense a huge change within the top 16 on the tournament point rankings. Other than the extremely small number of groups that possessed powerful might, it seemed as if more than half of those well-known strong groups have been cruelly ousted from the rankings. Clearly, all of them have already been defeated in battle. As for the groups that replaced those well-known groups, they appeared rather foreign and unfamiliar to everyone's eyes, with the spiritual academies they came from being not ranked amongst the elite spiritual academies. There was even a group that came from a middle-tiered spiritual academy that would appear exceedingly unassuming when placed within the lineup of spiritual academies participating in the Great Spiritual Academy tournament. Out of nothing, they had reached the 8th rank within a short span of 3 days. Furthermore, they had maintained that place from then till now, with no one still being able to kick them down from there. From this, one could see exactly how strong this group was. In such a period of time, there would be earth-shattering changes present every day of the Great Spiritual Academy tournament. Foreign and unfamiliar groups continued to gush endlessly like a stream, before sending challenges towards those powerful groups on the top rankings. Wave after wave, one leading after another. Only those that were able to remain undefeated after those unending waves of challenges would be able to obtain the qualifications to rule over their respective places on the rankings. The vast central region had seemingly turned into an exceedingly cruel elimination ground. Whenever a group appeared full of spirit, there would always be another retreating away in a miserable fashion. If one wanted to climb all the way to the top in here, there was only one path that awaited them, which was to step on the heads of others and climb up, one step at a time. Among the groups present here that numbered as much as the stars that twinkle in the night sky, there would merely be 8 of them that were able to stand tall at the very end. Furthermore, it was extremely obvious that these 8 groups would definitely be the best of the best. Time quietly elapsed by, with the competition for the top 16 becoming increasingly intense as time flowed on. Every single day, it seemed as if there would always be movements and changes to the top 16, with every single change representing the appearance of an even stronger group, thereby increasing the already difficult level of entry towards the top 16. At this moment, the top 16 were undoubtedly worth even more than their weight in gold than before. Within the top 16, the first place was still lorded over by Saint Spiritual Academy's group led by Ji Xian, with the second place being occupied by the Martial Spiritual Academy's group led by Wu Ling. As for the third place, it was held by a group with a captain possessing a familiar name, being Wen Qingxian. Within the short span of a few days, Wen Qingxian had revealed her astonishing strength once again, defeating one group after another in a considerably overbearing fashion, before finally scaling into the third place in a queen-like fashion. Her beautiful gaze scanned her surroundings with a cold and haughty fashion akin to a graceful and arrogant phoenix, causing the hearts of others to be exceedingly moved, while the same level of dread surfaced from within. The groups ranked after Wen Qingxuan's group all possessed well-renowned fame, as of now, within the Great Spiritual Academy tournament, with the level of strength causing absolutely no one to dare to underestimate them. With the constant appearance of powerful groups, the changes within the Great Spiritual Academy tournament had also appeared to happen exceedingly quick. As the previously prominent powerful groups get eliminated and wrecked one after another, those groups that were previously in the top places of the rankings started to get forgotten by the people. Even if they were mentioned, it would always be in disdain, accompanied by the flinging of mouths, with no more care taken when doing so. Clearly, Mu Chen's group was also included among this list. Previously, they had once risen into the top 16 within the rankings. However, as of now, they had completely disappeared from it. Therefore, when people had remembered about this group that had suddenly risen from the bottom from nowhere, seemingly everyone had already forgotten about them. Clearly, everyone had already treated them as one of the members of the huge army of eliminated groups. As time elapsed, with everyone within the Great Spiritual Academy tournament becoming badly bruised in their struggle for the top 16, boundless spiritual energies suddenly shot towards the skies from within a desolate area deep within the mountainous region. Within 3 mountain peaks, boundless spiritual energies rushed towards the skies, before 3 figures shot towards the air amidst long roars. Powerful spiritual energies rippled around their bodies akin to the surging of waves, appearing exceedingly tyrannical. These 3 figures were clearly Xiao Huang, Zhao Qingshan and Mu Fengyan, who had been in isolated training. At this moment, unconcealable ecstasy covered the faces of the trio, as the spiritual energy fluctuations radiating from their bodies were numerous times more tyrannical than before their isolation training. Clearly, they had already managed to successfully break through their spiritual energy disaster. Exchanging glances in the air, smiles cracked open from their lips. Bang! As the trio were exchanging glances, an earth-shattering sound suddenly resounded from the mountain behind them. They turned their gazes over, only to see the gigantic waterfall present there had been unexpectedly severed. Present below it was a figure sitting quietly on a green stone, with black and white spiritual energies in harmony radiating from his body, forming what appeared to be a gigantic 100-meter large spiritual energy barrier. It was precisely this spiritual energy barrier that had seemingly severed the waterfall in half. Whoosh! Suddenly, the barrier made from the fusion of black and white spiritual energies exploded, causing rampant spiritual energies, in the form of a hurricane, to sweep out, instantly causing a storm that whipped within the entire region. As the hurricane swirled the lake like a storm, the figure sitting within slowly opened his eyes. The view within his black pupils appeared increasingly abstruse, like a scene akin to a starry sky. Looking towards the storm that had blotted the skies, Mu Chen gave a gentle wave of his sleeve, causing the storm to instantly freeze, before condensing together. With a shift of his body, Mu Chen appeared in the air. Sensing the vast and boundless spiritual energy present within his body, a faint smile surfaced at the corner of his mouth. After crossing his spiritual energy disaster, the spiritual energy present within his body was numerous times more dense than before. Truly worthy of the spiritual energy disaster. Mu Chen muttered to himself with a faint smile. Raising his head, Mu Chen looked towards the vast forest, before suddenly extending his palm out. Forming a rather unique seal, a luscious green glowing screen started to radiate from his palm, completely enveloping the giant tall trees present within the tens of kilometers below. Crackle! Under the envelope of the light, the giant tall trees appeared to have been provoked, instantly trembling and shaking. Finally, with a final slam, they transformed into rays of green light, rushing straight into the glowing screen present within Mu Chen's hand. Whoosh! Whoosh! The rays of green light rushed into the glowing screen, before disappearing away. Faintly, a luscious green sea started to become faintly discernible within the glowing screen. What a really wonderful tree-growing art! Looking towards the luscious green shadow within the glowing screen, before looking at the ground below, which had become completely empty, a sigh of admiration uncontrollably surfaced from within Mu Chen's eyes. Although this tree-growing art didn't have any offensive characteristics, the degree of mysteriousness it provided was not one bit inferior in Mu Chen's eyes to the divine wood scripture. Upon observing this scene unfolding before their eyes, Xiao Huang and the other two that were standing not too far away were stunned to complete dumbfoundedness. Sending them a smile, Mu Chen proceeded to look towards the distance. Present along that direction was the central region of this shattered continent. Despite the vast distance between there and where he stood, Mu Chen could still clearly discern a faint scorching atmosphere perfusing from there. Slowly crossing his fingers, Mu Chen softly muttered. The final phase of the Great Spiritual Academy tournament has finally started. Remaining in the air, Mu Chen gave a wave of his sleeve, rapidly restraining the tyrannical spiritual energy fluctuations radiating from his body. Turning to take a look at Xiao Huang and the other two, he gave a nod in satisfaction. At this moment, the trio had also successfully passed through their spiritual energy disaster, obtaining quite a large increase in their strength. Seeing Mu Chen look over, Xiao Huang and the other two gave a laugh in return, with gratitude present in their smiles. During the short few months they had been together on this shattered continent, their strength had seemingly advanced by leaps and bounds. Such a pace of improvement had an extremely huge connection with Mu Chen, something that the trio was well aware of. If not for Mu Chen and Luo Li carrying them through the massive turmoil, their group would have already been squashed deep down under the sea of people present here. How would they be even able to walk to such a stage? Whoosh! Suddenly, a ray of sword light shot out from underneath the waterfall, radiating with a level of fierceness that sent chills through people's hearts. As it shot out, the waterfall was severed in half, with a gigantic sword fissure with an endless bottom appearing on the mountain cliff behind it. At this moment, a beautiful figure shot out, before finally appearing by Mu Chen's side, her bright and resplendent long hair appearing like a silvery river as it fluttered in the air. It was precisely Luo Li. "You've passed through your spiritual energy disaster?" As she appeared, Luo Li looked over to Mu Chen, with a shadow of happiness surfacing within her clear and bright eyes. Mu Chen smiled as he nodded his head. Thereafter, he directed his gaze towards Luo Li, who was moving back and forth. A smear of astonishment flashed through his eyes as he realized that after this session of seclusion training, the spiritual energy within Luo Li's body seemed to be even more firm. If one did not sense it properly, they might have felt that Luo Li's strength had fallen after this session. However, the possibility of this happening was close to none. There was only one possible outcome to this situation: Luo Li's strength had, once again, surged. Previously, Luo Li's strength was only at spiritual energy disaster. Now that she had made another breakthrough, wouldn't it be first-grade spirit disaster? "You've passed through the first level of your spirit disaster?" Mu Chen could not help asking. Hearing Mu Chen's question, Xiao Huang and the other two had also happily looked towards Luo Li. Being extremely clear about Luo Li's strength, they knew that she was able to use her strength with a cultivation at the realm of spiritual energy disaster to contend against an expert of the first level of spirit disaster. If she was about to break through once more, wouldn't that mean that she now possessed a might comparable to someone at the second level of spirit disaster? With such a level of strength, even amongst the experts within the final phase of the Great Spiritual Academy tournament that were as numerous as the clouds in the sky, it was more than enough to rank her amongst the very best. Upon hearing Mu Chen's question, Luo Li didn't give a reply, only sent a faint smile in return. "Ah, what a blow!" Mu Chen gave a sigh in helplessness. Although his speed of cultivation was already considered to be rather fast, he was always one step behind Luo Li, something that caused him to feel slightly depressed. Although he wasn't very insistent of wanting to surpass Luo Li, being a man, this issue would always remain in his heart. Tittering in response, Luo Li extended her jade-like hand and held onto Mu Chen's. Her tender little hand instantly caused the tiny depressed feeling present within Mu Chen's heart to be instantly wiped clean. "As of now, I'm afraid that the overall situation of the Great Spiritual Academy tournament has already grown extremely intense," said Luo Li, while looking at the far distance. Although she had always remained in isolation training for the past 10+ days, she also had a faint premonition about it. After all, the final phase of the Great Spiritual Academy tournament had already begun. Hearing her comment, Mu Chen nodded his head in agreement, with his eyes focusing towards the far distance. After a short instant, a scorching shadow gushed from the depths of his eyes. The Great Spiritual Academy tournament had finally started to gradually proceed to its end. However, he was also extremely clear that the real competition had only just started to descend. Waiting to extricate themselves from the powerful groups piling on top of one another to finally obtain the mere 8 places for the final match wasn't any easy task. However, regardless of what opponent they faced, Mu Chen didn't have the slightest bit of fear nor dread. On the contrary, it was something that he was greatly anticipating. He anticipated crossing hands against the truly powerful groups, as only in such bloody battles would it allow for people to grow and progress. The path of the strong was something that the weak would never be able to walk down. "Let's go. We should also move our bodies. Since the Great Spiritual Academy tournament has already turned completely lively, if we don't show any accomplishments whatsoever, we might truly vanish amongst the crowd," said Mu Chen with a smile as he gave a stretch of his body. Hearing that, Xiao Huang and the other two heavily nodded their heads in response, their eyes fervently burning. "Let's go." Without speaking another word, Mu Chen gave a wave of his sleeve, transforming straight into a ray of spiritual light that shot out, with Luo Li, Xiao Huang and the rest immediately following behind. While Mu Chen and his group were leaving the place of their isolation training, there was a desolate valley present at an extremely far place. Bare mountainous rock was present all around it, with the entire region perfused with a desolated flavor. Bang! Rumble! Suddenly, low, deep rumbling sounds rang from within the desolated valley, only for a gigantic fissure to split apart from the depths. As it extended all the way to the entrance of the valley, an entire flight of ancient stone steps appeared from within. Tap, tap. Faint footstep sounds rang from the end of the stone steps before numerous figures appeared under the bask of the sunlight a moment later. The people in the lead were two exceedingly handsome youths, possessing tall and straight figures with sharp eyebrows angling outwards from above their eyes, while extraordinary auras gushing from them. Present behind them was a beautiful girl, with her black hair worn exquisitely into a bun, revealing her snow-white neck. A gentle smile hung on her beautiful face, causing her entire body to radiate with a gentle and soul-stirring aura. Behind these three people were two figures that hastily followed behind. Standing at the edge of the stone steps, the five looked towards the fissure behind that was gradually closing. All of them quietly took a breath of relief while giving of a feeling of seeing the light of day after being given a new lease of life. The appearances of these five were exceedingly familiar. That's because they were Shen Sangsheng, Li Xiantong, Zhu Xian, He Yao, and Yang Lin, the second group from the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. We're finally out. Looking at the bright sky above, Shen Sangsheng could not help smiling, while a disdainful aura started to radiate from his brows, one that appeared to be even more dense as compared to before. Beside him, Li Xiantong had also nodded his head in agreement. With a clench of his hand, his academy plaque appeared while he scanned the top 16 listed on it. Upon seeing the rankings, a faint twitch appeared on his forehead as he said, "From the looks of it, the struggle in the Great Spiritual Academy tournament has grown extremely intense. The points have reached such high levels." At this moment, the first place on the rankings was still held by the Saint Spiritual Academy's group, led by Ji Xian, with their points already reaching 13,000 points. Such a terrifying number of points caused even Li Xiantong to feel shock within his heart. "That Ji Xian said to be extremely formidable," said Shen Sangsheng as he nodded his head, before muttering, "Furthermore, from what I know, Mu Chen seems to have some grudges and grievances with him, right?" "It seems like that," replied Zhu Xian with a gentle nod, before saying with a gentle smile, "I wonder exactly how Mu Chen and the others are doing now. There seemed to be no trace of their names at the top 16. With their level of strength, it's unlikely so, right? With Mu Chen and Luo Li there, their group's absolutely not ordinary," replied Li Xiantong. "Ha ha. That brat's not that easy to deal with. I believe that we'll be able to bump into them not long from now. Furthermore, even if they were truly unlucky to be defeated, isn't there still us here?" Shen Sangsheng gave a heroic laugh as he said, "I can also take back the place of the #1 expert of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy at the same time. Although you've obtained a huge chance from this desolate sect, wanting to take back the title of the #1 expert from Mu Chen might not be an easy matter to accomplish," replied Zhu Xian with a faint smile, instantly pouring cold water on Shen Sangsheng. Upon hearing her reply, instead of getting angry, Shen Sangsheng started to laugh. He was similarly extremely clear about Mu Chen's capabilities. That fellow's a monstrous talent. Although his level of strength had progressed by leaps and bounds since then, he was still truly not confident in saying that he was able to completely surpass Mu Chen. Let's ignore him, for now. We ought to make our move, carve a path out for ourselves and snatch all of the points. We definitely have to climb up the top 16 before Mu Chen and his group does, said Shen Sangsheng with a wave of his hand. In the next instant, with a fierce stomp of his feet, his figure immediately rushed into the sky. "Let's go." Nodding his head, Li Xiantong clenched his hand, causing a powerful spiritual energy to immediately sweeping out like a storm, instantly crushing the giant stones in his surroundings into dust. At this moment, his figure had rushed into the sky in a spectre-like fashion. Similarly, Zhu Xian and the other two immediately followed suit, with powerful spiritual energy fluctuations radiating from their bodies. Their level of strength had become much, much stronger as compared to what they were when they had just entered the Great Spiritual Academy tournament. Clearly, they had similarly obtained quite a huge benefit and chance during this period of time. After leaving their isolation training site, Mu Chen and his group orientated themselves to the right direction, before rushing towards the central region of the Shattered Continent. Along the way, Mu Chen and the rest had also bumped into quite a few groups that clearly had same goal as them. Faced against those groups, Mu Chen felt slightly astonished within his heart. That was because he could sense that they were rather powerful, with each group seemingly possessing more than 3 people whose strength was on the realm of spiritual energy disaster, at the very least, with not a single one below the realm of human body disaster. Such a sight caused Mu Chen to sigh in admiration. From the looks of it, there were quite a few groups that obtained a huge increase in strength from the remnants present within the shattered continent. At the very least, during the start of the Great Spiritual Academy tournament, people at the realm of human body disaster were sufficient to be considered as experts. However, as of now, people at that level of strength had already reached the point of almost being eliminated. However, although they had bumped into quite a few groups along the way, the journey of Mu Chen and his group was mysteriously free and unimpeded, with simply no group daring to find trouble with them. Clearly, those groups were faintly able to sense how thorny Mu Chen's group was, causing their gazes to be filled with dread to the point of not daring to go too close to them. Such a situation caused Mu Chen to feel somewhat helpless. In actual fact, he hoped for people to come knocking on his door, before gifting points over to him. However, since no one came to find trouble for them, it's still best for them to continue their journey. He knew that within the vast central region, there would be a sky-high number of points awaiting them to snatch and plunder. Therefore, the pace at which Mu Chen traveled increased once more. Their journey lasted close to 3 days. They had finally neared the battle-strewn central region. As they did so, Mu Chen and the rest received a piece of news that caused a sliver of shock to appear within his heart. The news they heard was that Wen Qingxuan's group had fallen into trouble. Upon knowing that Wen Qingxian and her group had met with trouble, Mu Chen and his group were undoubtedly shocked. After working with Wen Qingxian and her group, they were naturally very clearly of the astonishing strength the latter possessed. Although they had yet to see her taking action without any restraint, even Mu Chen would admit that if he was to truly cross hands with her, even he would not dare to say that he possessed an absolute chance of victory. This was an arrogant and haughty phoenix from the Myriad Phoenix Spiritual Academy. Not only did she possess a beauty that could cause the downfall of countries, her talent was similarly more than sufficient to cause countless geniuses to pale in color. In accordance to Mu Chen's original estimates, although all the powerful groups participating in the Great Spiritual Academy tournament had appeared, there were only an exceedingly few that were able to contend against Wen Qingxian. Furthermore, Mu Chen was truthfully unable to come up with anyone possessing the capability that could truly cause trouble for her. Therefore, with some suspicion and doubt within their hearts, Mu Chen and his group proceeded to ask around and gathered information, with a foreign-sounding name finally landing within their ears. Xiao Huang. Xiao Huang? Who's that fellow? Upon hearing their foreign name, Xiao Huang and the other two instantly voiced out in suspicion. Ever since their entry to the Great Spiritual Academy tournament till now, they have yet to heard about this name before. The mysterious great leader of the Academy Alliance is known by the name of Xiao Huang, replied Luo Li in a soft voice. Academy Alliance? The faces of Xiao Huang and the other two instantly changed. They never had much of a friendly relationship with the Academy Alliance. However, while they were in the remnant of the Divine Wood Palace, those fellows were given an extremely miserable beating by Mu Chen. Who would have thought that there would still be such a formidable figure present within the Academy Alliance? No matter how formidable Xiao Huang is, I don't think that he'll truly be able to cause trouble for Wen Qingxian, right? Although there might perhaps be some people in this Great Spiritual Academy tournament that can contend against her, it would be absolutely difficult to surround and trap her, muttered Mu Chen, while a faint wrinkle appeared on his forehead. It's said that Wen Qingxuan's not the only person that has been surrounded and trapped. Even Pinna, Le as well as the other two groups of their Myriad Phoenix Spiritual Academy, replied Luo Li while shooting a look at Mu Chen. Furthermore, that Xiao Huang is also a spiritual array master, and is even quite accomplished in his attainments in this aspect. Oh. Hearing that, Mu Chen's eyes slightly narrowed. This piece of information had seemingly exceeded his expectations. From the looks of it, the reason why Mo Yu and his gang of peeps were able to display the jade disc that could create a shielding spiritual array in the hidden spiritual courtyard should be due that person, said Mu Chen slowly, while a unique glint appeared in his eyes. The spiritual array present within the jade disc was exceedingly ingenious. The creator of such a thing would definitely not be any ordinary person. Looks like this Xiao Huang truly was extraordinary. According to the news that has been circulating around, as of now, Wen Qingxian and the others have been surrounded and trapped by the spiritual array that Xiao Huang had meticulously arranged, and are unable to extricate themselves from within, said Luo Li. As long as the spiritual array arranged by Xiao Huang hasn't reached the realm of spiritual array Grandmaster, it would absolutely be unable to trap Wen Qingxian. However, if there are other people besides her, it would be hard to say, muttered Mu Chen. With Wen Qingxuan's level of strength, although it might be thorny for her, wanting to extricate herself would absolutely be a possibility. However, the problem was the other groups from the Myriad Phoenix Spiritual Academy trapped with her. These people would be unable to easily extricate themselves. Therefore, it was impossible for Wen Qingxian to break free and leave the rest behind. What a good method employed by that Xiao Huang, said Mu Chen in an indifferent tone. Luo Li nodded her head in agreement. Clearly, that Xiao Huang was relying on this ploy to interfere with the plans of Wen Qingxian. After all, there were times that the number of people trapped within a spiritual array wouldn't amount to any superiority and might even become a burden. Therefore, as long as Wen Qingxian wasn't able to become heartless and toss her group members aside, this would continue to weigh her down to the point where she would no longer be able to endure anymore. This was clearly something that Xiao Huang was happy to see. They say that Wen Qingxian and the others have already been trapped for 3 days. However, that Xiao Huang's also kinda strange, since, from the start, he has only made a move to trap them and has not done anything else since, said Luo Li doubtfully in a soft voice. Hearing that, wrinkles started to faintly form on Mu Chen's forehead. After deeply pondering for a moment, he said, I believe that their goal might not just be Wen Qingxian alone. Hearing his words, Xiao Huang and the others instantly gawked, before saying in shock, not only Wen Qingxian, could it be? As they thought about it, their faces furiously contorted. As of now, they couldn't be more clear about the grudges and grievances between them and the Academy Alliance. All of the plans the Academy Alliance had cooked up was ruined and destroyed by them, with their 3 leaders even being sent retreating for their lives in a miserable fashion by Mu Chen. Such grudges wouldn't be light. If that Xiao Huang was the great leader of the Academy Alliance, he would definitely not be able to quietly swallow this down. Therefore, if the Academy Alliance was planning to target someone other than Wen Qingxian, they would definitely be the first to bear the brunt. The only thing Xiao Huang did to Wen Qingxian was to surround her, but did not attack. This might be due to her strength. However, I believe that there might be quite a large possibility that he wants to lure us to come forward and help her. Ha ha, this Xiao Huang sure has a big appetite, said Mu Chen with a smile, one that contained a sliver of chilling intent. What should we do, then? Asked Xiao Huang as he looked towards Mu Chen. Narrowing his eyes slightly, Mu Chen pondered for a long while before replying in a calm manner, since he's anticipating us to knock on his door, we should naturally not let him be disappointed. It just so happens that we needed a large amount of points. I believe that the Academy Alliance might be able to let us eat to our heart's content. Mu Chen did not wish to avoid such trouble. Even without mentioning the first promise about helping her that he had made towards Wen Qingxian, it was impossible for them to avoid such an invitation to battle. Mu Chen believed that there might already be people from various groups paying attention to the progress of this matter. After all, regardless of Wen Qingxian or Xiao Huang, both of them were figures that demanded considerable weight in the current situation of the Great Spiritual Academy tournament. Their crossing of hands would definitely attract the attention of others. Okay. Xiao Huang and the other 2 immediately nodded their heads. Although they knew that the Academy Alliance, being able to trap Wen Qingxian and the others up, would definitely have arranged for them to walk into a trap, under the leadership of Mu Chen for the past number of months, what kinds of danger had they not walked straight into? Furthermore, they did not assume that Mu Chen would lose to that great leader of the Academy Alliance. Hearing Mu Chen's words, Luo Li gently nodded her little head. After all, she had some level of friendship with Wen Qingxian. As of now, with the latter being in trouble, they should try all means possible to provide assistance to her. Let's go. Seeing that no one had opposed his decision, Mu Chen didn't hesitate any longer. With a wave of his hands, he shot straight towards the central region of the shattered continent, with Luo Li, Xiao Huang and the other 2 immediately following suit. For the next whole day, Mu Chen and his group didn't take any breaks, maintaining their speed to their utmost limit as they rapidly headed towards the central region. As they grew increasingly close to the vast region, Mu Chen finally started to sense the turmoil and chaos present within. With the continuous increase in the number of groups present, of which all possessed impressive strength and power, all of them were deeply vigilant and greedy. Therefore, this had caused all of them to appear like powder kegs that were inflated to the very extreme. With just the slight bit of provocation, they would completely explode. Therefore, when every two groups made some form of contact, what proceeded next would definitely be a huge intense battle with neither prepared to give an inch. Wanting to advance would require defeating the opposite party. In this place, only the victor could continue with their journey. To the victor goes the spoils. This was played out to the very extremely at this place. Under such a chaotic situation, even Mu Chen and his group had similarly encountered with obstruction, in the form of a few, quite powerful, groups casting their greedy gazes over. Faced against those groups that had treated him and his group as targets, Mu Chen didn't show the slightest bit of courtesy. Therefore, those groups that dared to take action would be defeated in a swift and powerful fashion, with not one bit of mercy shown, before snatching away half of their points. With such fat sheep that had automatically walked right into them, Mu Chen's points had increased by 2,000 to 3,000 in the short span of a day. One could say that they had obtained a bountiful harvest. Naturally, however, such a drastic increase in points wasn't considered much when compared to those sitting in the top 16 of the rankings. That's because the points held by the top 16 would change at any given moment, with such changes exceeding over 5,000 plus points. However, after a day's worth of time, Mu Chen's progressive increase in points gradually came to a stop. After suffering defeat after defeat, those groups that have been advancing wave after wave had finally started to understand how thorny this group they had targeted really was. It was on a level that they absolutely couldn't handle. Therefore, as dread and fear finally filled them, they had no choice but to completely conceal those greedy gazes of theirs, while no longer daring to take action against Mu Chen and his group. With such obstructions disappearing, Mu Chen's feet finally stepped onto the exceedingly vast central region on the second day of travel. This place had now already become the place within the entire Great Spiritual Academy tournament where the spotlight was shining the greatest.